Hi guys, Han here, and as you can probably guess, I just turned 30, yes! I mean, actually I turned 30 like a week ago now, but pretend it's my birthday for the sake of this video. As you do with, well, as I do with most major milestones in life, I think this is a good time to take stock. I have had a hell of a ride in my 20s. I graduated, as most people do, started my own business, closed my own business, moved to South Korea, started another business here. I've worked with, changed jobs too many times, and I've been to a lot of concerts. And of course, I've made and lost many friends too. And I think with all these experiences come life lessons and opportunities for growth. And I consider myself, I pride myself actually on being a very introspective person. But in recent years, I've started to share those things with other people. And today, I'm sharing that with you guys. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different from my usual video, a little bit more personal, intimate, if you will. But I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys can take away something useful from this video, whether you're younger than me, older than me, or also turning 30. I think amongst the many things that I experienced in my 20s, obviously moving to Korea and kind of trying to rebuild my entire life from scratch here. Of course, moving to a new country, moving to a new culture where you know nobody is not an easy task. But within that, it's also a fantastic opportunity to evaluate yourself, your identity, your values, and to kind of start from scratch with a lot more information. Because obviously when we're kids, we don't know shit. In my experience, if I'm honest, when I was in the UK, I was, for lack of a better word, the black sheep. I was always the odd one out. I was a very early adopter for K-pop, so nobody really liked what I liked. There wasn't a strong community. We didn't have social media like that back in the day. And within my family too, I was always the odd one out. Like, I've got four siblings. My oldest brother studied law. My sister studied economics. My other brother studied medicine. So I don't know why I can remember that. And my youngest brother studied, I think, pharmaceuticals. And I studied Korean. Not because I couldn't study the other things, but I was really determined to do what I'm interested in, what I like. And that was my motivation for like following my passion. So I've always led a very passion-led life, but I've always had the obstacles of not really being in control per se, and having to somewhat dim those lights to fit in or to soften my edges, to be less abrasive, or to survive in the environment that I was in. But moving to Korea, I was able to fully embrace my own self-identity and interests and passions because there was nobody to hold me back. Like, if I want to cover my walls in K-pop boys, I can do that. But within that, it's also when you're living as yourself for the first time, you don't know how people are going to react to you who aren't your family members, who can essentially like cut you down. Like, they can say that, oh, that's not who you should be, or that's not how you should be. But when you go out into the world and you act like yourself, people will react to you differently. And for me personally, I had this long period when I was in the UK where I felt like I didn't know who I was, because I felt like I was always masking to fit into my environment or what people's expectations were for me, and I wasn't really able to express myself. When I did then have the opportunity to do that, I really felt like, well, I don't know how to express myself. I don't know what self to express. And living alone in Korea for 6 years has given me a lot of time to really ask myself, like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What are my strengths and weaknesses? How would I like to change and grow and things like that? And I'm very happy to say that I feel like I found that person. I feel like I know who I am now. And I feel like not only do I know, but I feel like the people around me can see it and love that person. As I said, today is not actually my birthday. And I actually did have my birthday party prior to my birthday, so that specific people that I wanted to be there could be there. And I wrote each of my friends who I invited a letter, and each of them kind of wrote like a short note in like my birthday card or something like that as well. And the one thing that I found to be consistent amongst all my friends, even though they're all from different places, from different points in my life, from different backgrounds, different shared hobbies, is that they commended me on my authenticity, which for me is really meaningful because that's what I set out to do. I said that when I came to Korea, I wanted to be unapologetically myself. And if you like that, you can hang with me. If you don't like that, on your bike, as we would say in the UK. And it's great to know that I I succeeded. I'm surrounded by people who not only acknowledge who I am, but like me for that person. And yeah, that was really meaningful. And it's exciting to go into my 30s now, knowing who I want to be, knowing there's still changes that I want to make, things that I want to improve about myself or develop about myself, but having an idea, knowing that when I came into my 20s, I had honestly no idea who I was. So yeah, that's been a great change. And then also within that comes reevaluating my values, which I will say COVID gave me a lot of time to do, a lot of time to think. I've had time to reshape and rethink what my dreams are, what true happiness and satisfaction mean to me. I think there's a difference between happiness and satisfaction. I feel like happiness is like an emotion that you feel through experience, and satisfaction is like an underlying state of being. And I feel like I am very blessed to say that I'm really happy with the life that I have now, even though I'm not yet satisfied, because like I said, the things I want to improve, things I want to still gain, and goals that I'm working towards. But I feel confident in that those things can happen, those things can come true, and that I'm actively getting closer to those things. So I feel like that's a wonderful place to be, and it was not an easy place to get to, which is why I'm kind of sharing this, to show people that it doesn't always start easy, but you can end up feeling the way I feel, and you can still acknowledge that there are more things you want in life, and at the same time appreciate where you are at the moment. I think also another big thing that has really changed for me is that not only have I had my own experiences here in Korea, but I've also got to watch so many people's lives. Now, I always say that, like, I'm from London, the melting pot, like the biggest melting pot in the world, or the best melting pot, at the very least. I've always considered myself someone who's open to other cultures, other religions, other ways of life, and actually interested. Like, I want to know those things. I want to meet different people and learn from their experiences, see from their perspective. But I can honestly say that coming to Korea has allowed me to do that even more so than I was able to do that in London. I have met friends from countries that I've never been to who have some have been to the UK, some haven't. And like, I grew up with a very traditional, like, Christian background. I've met friends who grew up not religious. I've met friends who grew up in other religions, which I knew already, but it was still a new experience to see, like, especially in our adulthood where we are all able to make our own choices, how those backgrounds inform our decisions and things like that. And it was really, like, it really gave me an opportunity to learn. I also think I have been single for all of my 20s. My last relationship was from high school to university. It was 2 years, and it was a great relationship. Like, I would honestly say that was my first love, and I still look back at it with fond memories, but I was the one who ended it because I knew in my 20s my big goal was to go to Korea, and my partner was not for that, and I was like, well, sorry, but I know what I want, and there are a few things that I'm not willing to compromise on, and coming to Korea was one of them. We parted ways actually a few years after we broke up. We stayed friends for a while, and then since then I've been single, and I actually haven't, not only have I been single, I haven't really, like, been interested in anybody. I am by no means a romantic, I will tell you that. I'm very interested in the concept of marriage or, like, settling down with somebody. But I think the more time I spent living alone, mind you, Korea is the first time I've ever lived fully by myself. In my first year of uni, I lived in a dorm room with 9 other people. And in my second year of uni, I lived with 2 of my classmates when we were out here in Korea. And then for my last 2 years, I lived at home. So this is truly my first experience of living completely self-sufficiently by myself. And like I said, when you're alone, you have a lot of time to think, but it also lets you monitor, like, how other people manage their spaces. Because I think also the difference between living alone and living with other people is that I've never had a place that was mine. My parents' house is, well, my mother's house is my mother's house, so I follow her rules. When we're in the dorm, I have to, like, communicate with my roommates and stuff like that. Whereas when I live by myself, I can fully start to create the lifestyle that I want. And knowing that I have this now, and knowing there are things that I'm not willing to compromise on, when I see my friends in relationships, or I see how other people navigate their friendships or other things like that, there's a lot I can learn about the way people undervalue themselves in some relationships, or the way people are manipulated, or the way people are cared for, and have people hold space for them. And I honestly feel like I've learned so much about communication, about healthy relationships, both romantic, platonic, family, etc., through watching the people around me. It's also given me, again, time to reflect on my relationship with my family, with my siblings, with my parents, with my extended family, and with the friends that I have, especially because now my friends are so spread out. Like, I have my friends back from the UK, I have friends in Korea that I knew from uni, I have new friends that I've made since I've been here, I've got friends in Italy, friends in Spain, and friends in Australia who I met here and they all left. And navigating and maintaining all those different relationships requires different things because there are different circumstances. So actually, for this whole week, I don't know if you guys are going to be watching this on a Sunday or a Monday, but the prior week, I took the whole week off and I literally called one of my friends every single day and we spoke for hours. And it was my way to obviously catch up and make sure that I maintain those relationships. But it's also a reminder of, like, each of them is different. The topics we talked about are different. The way we talk to each other is different. The values we share or the things that we respect about each other that are different. So it was really, again, like a culmination, actually. I think your friends are a reflection of who you are as a person as well. And it was I was proud of the friends that I've made. Like, to put it simply, again, when I was back in the UK, I had a lot of bad run-ins with a lot of bad friends. I don't have any friends from middle school, high school, elementary. I have one actually, because I had a lot of bad experiences. And we'll talk about this one day eventually. But and even, like I said, in Korea too, I have had friends come and go. I had specifically 2 people that I would have considered very good friends of mine who I don't talk to anymore. And that's because I grew from the experiences I had in middle school and high school. And I learned that these relationships don't serve me. These people don't hold space for me. They don't care for me. And in some cases they're even using me. And being able to, like, step back and evaluate things that way has been so rewarding because I don't feel the same kind of, like, lingering feelings that I felt in the cases of, like, middle school and high school where I missed these people or I resented them or anything. There's nothing there. It's just like, okay, they were in my life, they served a purpose for that time, and now they're not anymore, and I can just move on and live my life, right? As I said, I now know who I am and who I want to be moving forward, but there's a distance between those 2 people, right? And that's why I've come up with the 30 after 30 challenge. And this is something that I completely made up. And honestly, the title is half because it sounds cool and half because it's actually meaningful. But I wanted to share this with you guys because I will be documenting a lot of this process on my channel, on both my channels, and I thought, like, this is something that we could do together as a community. Even if you're not 30, if you just want to see some change or some improvement or some development somewhere in your life, this is something we can do at the same time together, keep each other accountable, share our experiences, share our discoveries as I'm sharing my introspections with you guys now. What is 30 after 30? It is 30 weeks after 30 to make the foundations of who you want to be. I personally don't believe or subscribe to the fact that in order to make a change in your life, you have to make a huge sudden change. I actually feel like for most people that's very difficult, and that's why most people, like, for example, New Year's resolutions, nobody ever sees them through. It's because we're trying to make ourselves do something so different from what we've already done. And yeah, you can do that for a short period of time, but maintaining that is very difficult, especially as someone with ADHD and someone who's also very goal orientated. If I don't get the reward like that, I feel like, oh, it's not working, I'm just gonna stop, and I just quit doing it, you know? So I started to think about, okay, I've got these goals that I want to achieve. What is a more sensible way for me to go about them? The idea is that in the next 30 weeks, around 7 months, 6 to 7 months, my goal is not to make huge dramatic changes, but rather to make small incremental changes that will get me closer to what my end goals are. 6 months is a long time in general, but it's also a short time in the grand scheme of life. If I can make even a small difference within 6 months that gets me into a routine or helps me develop habits that are eventually going to get me closer to my actual end goal, I still think that's time well spent. If I give an example of this, I'm actually going to share with you guys what some of my goals are. I have 3 big areas that I'm trying to, like, improve in. So the first one is my health. Let me tell you, these knees don't bend like they used to. I'm not getting any younger, and I'm getting to the point now where I do have to worry about, like, pre-diabetes, which diabetes runs in my family, and like my dental health, my sexual health, all these kind of stuff, right? So, and just like my overall health. Like one of the things that I often say to my friends is that I am tired all the time, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. I think I mentioned in my previous video, but I've gained a lot of weight since I came to Korea. I've gained more than 30 kilograms, which for my Americans is 66 pounds, so plus. And also I can feel, like I said, that my stamina level is so much lower. I'm so tired so easily. Whereas even though I've never been a social person, I've always been a more active person. Like I've always gone out and done things and gone places. And I do still go to concerts, but I find it very difficult to get myself to get up and do anything else these days. So rather than saying like, I'm gonna hit the gym every day and I'm gonna work out, like I'm gonna do PT 4 times a week and I'm gonna do all this like very intense workout to get the results I want as quick as possible, what I'm saying for myself is that I will cycle. No measurement on time. These are not SMART goals. You know, they say what, specific, measurable, blah, 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 blah. We're doing the opposite of that. And I'll explain the reason why. So there's no time of like, I have to cycle for an hour, or frequency of like, I have to cycle every day, or like distance or anything. The goal is to do something that I'm not doing now. So right now I have a very sedentary lifestyle. I work in an office, I sit down all day, and I come home and I'm tired and I sit on my sofa all day. I actually bought a exercise bike that I can fold up in my house. I actually don't fold it up, I just leave it in the middle of the living room. And there is no specifics, like I said, like there is no criteria that I have to meet. Just as long as I sit down and I cycle, I've hit the goal. And the idea is that when you set the bar so low, when you make something so easy to achieve, the mental block between doing it and not doing it is so much smaller. At least in my experience, especially with ADHD, we struggle a lot with starting tasks, especially when the task feels monumental. It feels like it's never ending. It feels like the end is nowhere in sight. If I say my goal is to lose this much weight, that's a very long-term process, and long-term goals are very hard to maintain. So I'm bringing it back to literally the most basic of basics. There is no reason I cannot come home, sit on my bike and cycle every day and watch like a YouTube video. Even if I only cycle for 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes of exercise that I would not have done otherwise. And the idea is that over time, those increments will become less and less bothersome to do. And when they do become less bothersome to do, I can then move to the next step of, okay, now that I actually am in the habit of cycling every day, let's put a minimum time. And again, you start with something very achievable. Let's start with a 5-minute cycle every day. I'm already cycling every day because I've set that rhythm, right? So it becomes easy to do. And once you get that 5 minutes every day without thinking about it, you go, you know what, I'm already cycling, let's just keep cycling as much as we can. And before you know it, you'll be cycling 20, 30, 40, an hour every day. You know what I'm saying? So that's, and I don't think this is a revolutionary way of thinking. I'm not saying I invented this like thought process, but I'm implementing it through this 30 after 30 challenge basically. So that's my kind of health side. There are other things I want to do. I want to cook more as well. I actually have a friend, for my birthday present, they're helping me write like a meal plan. Like that is, when your friends show up for you, I tell you, I really pick some good ones. If I do say so myself. The second thing that I really want to work on is finances. As I get older, I care more and more about the possibility of buying a house, which for all my fellow millennials and Gen Zs is a daunting ask. I think I mentioned this earlier, I'm not sure. I would like to get married, but I don't think marriage is a necessity for me to be fulfilled in life. And if I don't get married, that's completely fine. But if I don't get married, admittedly, I will have a lot harder time buying a house in Korea. So with that in mind, I need to start thinking about that and preparing for that possibility now in order to make things easier for myself later down the line. I'm not really big on no buys unless you know you buy exorbitantly in a specific area, but I'm considering low buys. Not considering, I am doing low buy. Already I'm kind of doing a low buy for K-pop, especially because I don't have any more space to put it. And other things in my life. I'm also trying to be a conscientious consumer. So you guys know I'm making more and more of my clothes these days rather than buying things, so that I'm not contributing too much to like fashion waste and fast fashion, all these things. I'm not cutting them out completely because I don't think it's practical for who I am and where I am in my life right now. Maybe later down the line that'll be something that I can consider, but I'm trying to quite literally create slow fashion and use that as a means to make things that are more my style, but also be conscious of where I'm spending my money and also save money in that process. I do have a really big saving goal for the end of this year. It's actually kind of dependent on my YouTube doing better, so like and subscribe, guys. And I really want to change my job. I think I mentioned that in my previous video where I talked about my work history. I really want to change my job this year, and I hope that in doing so it will free up time for me to work on YouTube, but also hopefully increase my actual salary as well. So time will tell. But yeah, and then the final one is a bit broader than the other two. It's lifestyle, or more specifically like work-life balance, and that encompasses how much time I have to myself, how I delegate my free time, and also maintaining my interpersonal relationships, including dating. So I already talked about I want to get a new job. That's like the long-term goals, right? And also I want to build up my YouTube channel. I want to actually go out more spontaneously. I always say that I'm a person who likes planned spontaneity. So like if my friend is like, hey, can we hang out? I'll be like, okay, you need to book 2 weeks in advance and you need to tell me what time we need to meet and where we're going. Like where we're going is an area. Once I've met my friend, I've mentally blocked out that the next 10 hours I'm spending with this person. I don't care what we do. We can be spontaneous on the day as long as I just know where I'm meeting you. Like just Yongsan, 12 o'clock on August 12th. That's good enough for me. And I will be there. And then whatever we do that day, it doesn't matter. But I really hate like pop-up friends who are like, hey, I'm outside. But honestly, I hate it partially because it's spontaneous. But I also hate it because I feel like it's disrespectful to your time. Like, I'm not free just because I'm at home. Anyway, I digress. But that's also the problem. I am famous within my friends for being busy. I am the person who, if you want to see me, you have to book months in advance. When I call my friends, I told you I called all my friends this week, I book my next phone call with them the same day before we finish that phone call. And it's usually like a month or two later. That is how pressed for time I am. Partially to my own doing, but also circumstantially, I finish work at 9 p.m. I come home at 10:30. There's nothing to be done Monday to Thursday evening, or even Friday evening as well. So those kind of things can be a problem sometimes. I want to make more time and have more flexibility in my free time, basically, in my personal time. I also want to have time where I'm not doing anything. Like, that would be nice. And I sprinkled in dating in there. As I said, I haven't really been interested in anybody in the last 10 years because there's not been anybody to be interested in. Like, the environment I'm in is just not the place where I'm going to meet the kind of person that I would like to meet. I don't know what that place is, but I just know it's not where I am now. And I do kind of have it in my mind that if I don't meet someone before I'm 35, I probably will not date again, which is fine. As I said, I'm not someone who thinks you have to get married or you have to settle down or something like that. I don't even know if I can get married because if I meet a girl and we live in Korea, we can't get married. So, you know, but what I'm saying is that I do still think it would be nice to try as well. I will admit that I am the first person to not put in any effort. I am the introvert who stays at home and is like, maybe it's the Wi-Fi guy who comes to fix my Wi-Fi who I'll fall in love with. Like, I am so low effort for these kind of things because I also feel like meeting new people and like building a new relationship is such a long and tedious process. I know. But I also think it's a necessary process. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have the friends that I have now because almost all the friends I have now are new friends with like, say like 3 or 4 who are like OGs. So yeah, I need to get myself out there, and in that process I will expose myself to new experiences and again meeting new people, not just romantically, but making new friends and learning from other people's walks of life and stuff like that. It's a process that I do enjoy. It's just it requires a lot of energy that I don't currently have because I'm again tired all the time. So all these things are kind of connected, but yeah, it's gonna be again small microscopic steps one at a time. As I said, I will be documenting my process for you guys and sharing it with you through this channel, both my process and my shortcomings. Actually, there might be points where I realize that, hey, this specific method was not really working the way I wanted it to, and then probably towards the end of the year we'll do like a 6-month review. It's not going to be 6 months, it's going to be 5 months. So we're going to still be like, have like 2 months left over, like 8 weeks or so, that we can like make some final changes. And then we'll reevaluate at the end of the 30 weeks and see what's changed, like what's improved. Did I lose any weight? Did I start cooking? Who knows? So yeah, I'll be documenting that through videos on both this channel and the side channel, and also probably a lot on my Instagram. So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, you should do that, because why wouldn't you do that? Actually, I'm trying to really get better at posting on Instagram. I've decided that I don't care about my feed. I'm just gonna post. Like when something happens, I'm just gonna post it, because I think I always hold posts. I'm like, oh, but I haven't posted this thing yet, so I can't post this yet. And then, oh, but I need to post this on specific. No, I'm just gonna post, because otherwise I just don't post. So yeah, follow me on Instagram and interact with me there if you would like to see things in a bit more real time. And also, of course, my channel members, you guys are gonna have the scoop. I'm gonna be asking your opinions and sharing. And also, of course, I would love for this to be a two-way street. Even if you don't do like specifically this challenge, if you are in a stage of self-development and growth, or you're questioning things, I want an open conversation. I want us to share ideas and our introspections with each other and learn from each other, encourage each other, inspire each other. So yeah, that's basically where I am. As the saying goes, 30s are the new 20s. So I'm very excited for everything that is to come, and I look forward to sharing that journey with you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you would like to come on this journey with me, then of course you should subscribe. Also, if you've recently hit any big milestones, or you have advice for a young person in their early 30s, please be sure to leave that down below so we can congratulate you, or we can share wisdom, because I would love to see that. Anyway, that's all for today's video. If you've watched it to the end, thank you. I appreciate you. I want to try a lot of different things on this channel, so it means a lot. And yeah, this has been Han from the Haniverse. I'm gonna go and eat some cake. Thanks for stopping by. Do you guys like my setup? I thought it was giving like very K-pop idols birthday live stream. I wanted to do this as a live stream, but I didn't have the time. I did have the time, I just didn't have the energy. I'm sorry. Anyway,